Welcome to the Godot BootCamp lesson on updating user entities. In this lesson, we'll be updating the user entity that we created in the previous lesson to track the user's progress in the example game's horde mode. When invoking the update entity request, we need to supply the following parameters: the entity ID, the entity type, the JSON data, the ACL, and the version. It's important to note that the JSON data being passed in will completely replace the entity data on the brainCloud servers. Also of note for the entity version, if -1 is passed in, then the entity's version will automatically increment. Click the JSON response to familiarize yourself with the data the request will return on a successful response. Open Visual Studio Code and navigate to the user-progress.cs file. Declare a public method called setLevelCompleted. In the body, check to see if the Boolean member variable that corresponds with the level index parameter is changed or not, and if it has, then return true. If the value has changed and true is returned, then we'll know to update the user entity data with the user's progress. Save the file and then navigate to the network.cs file. Declare a pair of callback delegates that will be used to handle the response for the update entity request. Scroll down and find the create user progress data method. Below it, declare a public method called update user progress data. In the body, check to see if the user is authenticated. If the user is not authenticated, format an error message and then invoke the handle request error method, passing in the error message and the error delegate as the arguments. If the user is authenticated, declare success callback lambda. In the body of the lambda, log the response data. If the callback delegate is not null, it will be invoked. Next, declare failure callback lambda. In the body of the lambda, format an error message. And then invoke the handle request error method, passing in an error message and the error delegate as the arguments. Invoke brainCloud's entity services update entity request, passing in the entity ID, the entity type, the JSON data, the ACL constant, -1 to increment the entity version, and the success and failure callback lambdas in as the arguments. Save the file and then navigate to the game.cs file. Scroll down and find the next level method. In the body, invoke the user progress's setLevelCompleted method, passing in the level index member variable as the argument. If this is the first time the user has been that level, then the user entity needs to be updated on brainCloud. Invoke the network's update user progress data method, passing in the entity ID, the entity type, and the formatted JSON data as the arguments. Scroll down and find the onBossHasExploded method. In the body, invoke the user progress's setLevelCompleted method, passing in the level index member variable as the argument. Then, if the user entity needs to be updated on brainCloud, invoke the network's update user progress data method, passing in the entity ID, the entity type, and the formatted JSON data as the arguments. Save the file and then compile the code. If the code compiled successfully, open Godot. Run the game. Click Horde Mode and select Level 1. We're going to play the game and try and beat Level 1 to update the user entity data. Playback has been sped up to save time. We've beaten Level 1. Subsequently, the update entity request was made to keep brainCloud up to date with our progress. Pause the game and click the main menu. Click Horde Mode. Notice the Level 2 button is no longer disabled. Stop the game and then rerun it. Click Horde Mode. Notice again that the Level 2 button is not disabled. The user entity data that we got from the Get Entities by Type request included the updated changes from the previous session. Stop the game and then navigate to the brainCloud design portal. I want to show you how you can view your user's entity data on the design portal. From the dashboard at the top next to App, click User. Click the top user in the list, then on the right, click Go to User. On the left, click Data, then click User Entities. This page will list all your users' user entities. Click the User Progress entity. The slide-out panel contains the user's entity data. Notice that this entity is on version 2. Every time we update the entity data with the update entity request and pass in -1 as the version, the entity's version will increment automatically. Attaching an email identity to the user's profile is the next lesson in the Godot BootCamp.